Currently, as a commercial photographer, I work 6 times, maybe 10 times a year, because the rates that you get are much more, but you also don't work as much. I do about 24 emails, 24 outreaches a week to be able to keep the engine running. So for me, strategy is everything.
Hello, and welcome back to F22, where we bring all things photography into focus. This show is brought to you by VSCO, and this is actually part 2 of my interview with Martine Severin, who is a wonderful person and an incredible photographer, commercial and lifestyle photographer for 13 years now. In part 1, we talked about how she got started, and there were some amazing bits in there. And then now in part 2, we're getting into how she runs her business, kind of a behind-the-scenes look. You won't want to miss this. So without further ado, let's just get right into my conversation, part 2 with Martine Severin. We've been dancing around your portfolio and kind of your story. So you decided to go full time. You were doing one shoot at a time. You started doing weddings. So I think maybe like the next progression would be like you were building your portfolio from weddings to commercial.
Yeah, so I could talk about that.
Yeah.
So once I felt like I had a really great set of technical skills, then I was like, okay, so it's time to now build my portfolio for commercial photography. And so since I was in the wedding space, I thought the easiest way was just to work with wedding gown designers.
Oh,
right.
Okay. Yeah.
So I reached out to a few who were around, and the best way to do that is to go to a wedding fair, a bridal fair, because most of the small business owners are there, and they're always looking to take images of their new dresses, the new gowns, and so on and so forth. And all of the people that you need to collaborate with you on a shoot like that, they're at a bridal fair. So you have your wedding or bridal gown designer. You will have makeup artists who are at the fair. You will have event planners who are at the fair. You will have stationers, people who do stationery and invites who are at the fair. You will have people who do bouquets and floral arrangement at the fairs. And you need all of those people. Yeah. So that's where, for me, it became really important to not only create connections, but to use that as a training ground to create more lookbooks. So I did lookbooks for a few years, and that was really amazing because you learn posing, you learn lighting, but in a much more controlled way.
Right.
And the other thing that you learn is creating a storyboard and thinking about production and what it means to say, let's do a photo shoot, and all of the things that go into it. And again, there's another bit of learning that you do because you now have to get models.
Yeah.
And models are hard. And back in the day, there was Model Mayhem, where you can approach a very attractive young man and woman or whoever it is on the street, and you could show them your work and say, would you be interested in being my model? And normally people are really impressed by that. And one of the things that I learned from being a street style photographer is I am not afraid to go up to the randomest person on the street to ask to take their photo. So for a while, I just worked with in the bridal space. And then once I started working with the modeling agencies, then I thought to myself, what if Cole Haan were to hire me as a photographer? Okay, so if Cole Haan were to hire me as a photographer, what kind of photographs would they want me to take for them? Right. So I go to Cole Haan and I basically research all of the past campaigns that they've done.
Smart. Yeah.
And I create a lookbook for Cole Haan and Cole Haan adjacent, footwear adjacent, fashion adjacent clients. So not only for Cole Haan, but maybe for Reebok, Nike. So it's kind of like all adjacent, but all doing it from the very specific viewpoint of Cole Haan, which is a fashion and footwear house. So once I did that, I sent the mood board over to the modeling agency. And now that I have a very really great criteria.
Yeah.
Then they sent me models. And in the meantime, I was able to find a makeup artist, somebody who did weddings. It's the easiest, start where you are, right? I was in the
Yeah.
wedding
Yeah.
space. So I found somebody who did weddings. And then I went to, this is awful, but this is what photographers do even to today. I went to Zara. I went to Macy's. I went to Nordstrom Rack. And I got my credit card, my personal credit card, and I purchased things. I purchased wardrobe that fit the Cole Haan aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I went through and I photographed the models and then did some selects from that. And the selects had to be in the voice of Cole Haan, but from my perspective.
Right.
And so I did that once, I did it twice, I did it 3 times, and I kept doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it. And each time I would choose different clients. So anthropology, because at the time I thought I wanted to do fashion.
Oh, I just remember at that time, and still, anthropology is like those little magazines that they would send out every month. I would just drool over the
They're
photos.
so good.
So good.
They're
Oh, my
so
goodness.
good.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, they're so good. And so that's what I did. And then in doing that over and over and over again, I got my first portfolio. I did my first portfolio. Currently, as a commercial photographer, I work 6 times, maybe 10 times a year.
Wow.
Because the rates that you get are much more, but you also don't work as much. So in the meantime, it means that you are constantly on, like you're constantly sending messages. So I think I do about 24 emails, 24 outreaches a week.
Wow.
To be able to keep the engine running.
Yeah.
So for me, strategy is everything.
I want to see some of your images. So you've talked about how you were building your portfolio, and do you have anything that we could look at?
Sure. This is a personal shoot that I did where I got a really good model. This is Kate. Kate has blown up, y'all. Kate is like huge. She's just come back from 6 months in Japan, and she walks for some of the major fashion houses, fashion shows. So she is like, she's so beautiful and amazing. So, and so for this photo shoot that I did, again, it was a makeup artist that I met who did weddings, and we met and we got a friend's mom's house to let us use her swimming pool. And then I was like, we need a flamingo.
Yeah.
And so here I thought, okay, so I'm creating the shoot, but maybe we're selling glasses, but maybe we're selling bathers. I don't know. But for this one, I had, and they're like a sister company, Free People as a potential client. And so that's what you're seeing here.
Yeah. So this is not client work. This is work that you're creating to kind of create a lookbook, create work that you could then go try and get client work with. So like when you're making these things, I mean, how do you come up with ideas? How do you come up with the concept? You know, where do you even start?
One of the things that I think is really important is to figure out what your special sauce is and what are you naturally good at and how you want to grow as a creative. So at each iteration of building my portfolio, I felt like I wanted to learn a skill. So when I first started, I just didn't really understand composition that well. So I spent a year on composition. So because of that, then we have that image of the young woman in the flamingo.
Right.
And then some days I will just focus on color. By days, I mean like eras, if you will. Yeah. And the reality is that if you're doing these test shoots, and they're called test shoots, it costs money. But for me, usually I would cap myself at $100. But if this was a year where I wanted to like show production value. And that's really important when you are going through and becoming a professional photographer. You want to be able to show that there's a team
Yeah.
that you're working with who's producing these amazing images, and that's very important.
So tell us about how you built your portfolio. You've got, some test photos like this. How do you go from wedding photographer to I've got a portfolio and now I've got commercial clients?
So you want to go on LinkedIn and find out, oh, who is at Cole Haan? Is Cole Haan, do they have an in-house creative team, or do they have like an advertising agency that represents them?
Right, right.
And so with that once you find that person and you find whether or not that Cole Haan does their house in their work, they hire their own photographers, or do they have an advertising team? So you then find out the person's information by going through LinkedIn, and then you're able then to start sending not only Cole Haan, but other people who are in a similar, who do similar products. You send them your information, and you send them an email. And like I said, I send about 24 emails out a week. So each day I'll say at Marketing Monday, I'll sit down and I'll send out like 6 emails. And for the 6 emails, it might be to different people in this list that I've been able to grow.
Right.
And so I'll say, hey, Zach, I just wanted to reach out to you to tell you how much I really love Cole Haan's latest campaign. This is some new work that I created, and you have a link to it.
Yeah.
You can also attach it, but some people are funny about opening attachments, and sometimes attachments are too big. So I just say, put a link, and you say, I would love to get together with you. I created some work that I think you might really resonate with, and here's the link. And 9.9 times out of 10, they're not going to respond.
Yeah.
But they might, somebody might respond, but just because they don't respond, it doesn't mean that they're not seeing your work. And so you just put them on like every 6 or 9 months, you send them messages, and then you add them to your newsletter, because you need to have a personal newsletter. So I talked about my newsletter that I have that benefits the podcast, but I have Martine Severin photography newsletter. It only goes out twice a year, but that's where I share new work. And people really do keep up to date with you, and they'll open it, and then you're able to track to see if they're opening it. And so once I started doing this, I then went to a portfolio review. I know that Liza Gershman mentioned how portfolio reviews are important, and they're really important. And it does take some money for you to be able to go to a portfolio review. And so again, this is where I was very glad to have done wedding photography, because I did it with a very important goal in mind, is that yes, wedding photographer would cover my rent, it would cover my expenses, but then I would have a certain pot of money set aside for doing all of these things, which is to do these test shoots. And I would do about 3 test shoots a year. I would then use the best of those test shoots to create a book. And once I created that book, I would then go to a portfolio review to be able to show they call them buyers or creatives. Buyers are people who book photographers and creatives for different photo shoots. So then I went and met to these portfolio reviews, and that's where you start meeting with people who could potentially hire you. But more importantly, that's where you start meeting with people who are your contemporaries, who are going to be your contemporaries. So you'll meet people there that are going to become your really great friends and who are going to become your advocates.
And do you find that that's mostly where your work comes from now, is just all those relationships and then reaching out to people like you do on LinkedIn? Is that mostly where your work's coming from?
That's really where it comes from. I used to have an agent, and some of that work would come from the agent. And that was a really great experience, because I learned so much about how to talk. Like like a photographer and to demand the things that you need to do the job.
Yeah.
But most of my work really comes from there.
And how long do you think it took to kind of get to that point? Because I mean, I'm sure that's not an overnight thing to just have such a network of people that know you and are, exchanging references and suggestions like that.
So I think for me, it's taken 9 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't happen over time. And all these things I'm talking to you about, it's been done over the last 13 years, right?
Yeah. I think that's important for people to hear. Like, this is a long game. This is not something that you just turn around in a year or a couple of years. Like, this is, it takes a lot of work and consistency and smart moves and relationships. And, it's a job, it's work to get to this point. It's not just about having really great work. You need to have that, but you need to be doing all this other stuff that Martine's talking about as well. What kind of advice would you give somebody that is wanting to do commercial photography like you do, wanting to do the kind of work that you do? What would you have done differently, or what do you wish you would have known that somebody would have told you?
The truth is that you are going to be hired for your specific voice and for what you have to say. So that's great already, right? Because we are all so different and people will want you. To get hired, it means that you have to do more of what you do in your own voice. And you just have to keep shooting, keep practicing, because you won't know when you're first starting what you really want to say or what you really want to do. And it's really frustrating when people say, just keep shooting. But it's true. You have to just keep shooting because you have to sharpen your eye. So that's one thing that I'm going to say. The second thing that I'm going to say is that you have to get to know other people who are who are doing what you want to do. Because there's no need to reinvent the wheel.
Right.
Because a lot of people have already done it. So you just have to know that networking is really important. Yeah. But it doesn't you don't need to call it networking if it freaks you out. You can call it just meeting people is really important. Yeah. If you don't like people, then meeting one person is really important. Join your local professional organization. So if you are a media photographer, join American Photographic Artists. If you are, you could join PPA, Professional Photographers of America. Yeah. I'm very involved in APA, which is American Photographic Artists. And I'm often members of all three. Wow. Because you need to meet different people. Yeah, all the groups are different. And honestly, in Chicago, the APA Chicago, as well as ASNP, which is American Media and something else photographers. I'm sorry, ASNP. Get on the board of these organizations because they need people. Right. Go to their events. Get a membership. If you can't get a membership, just read everything that they've had and then see who they've had in some of their events and email those people and ask. If you're a student, that's even better. People love students. Yep. People love students. You will get more meetings because you're a student than if you are anything else. So that's one thing. The second thing to remember. The third thing to remember is that you have to be a decent human being. And that's so important. Yeah. You have to be a decent person. You have to follow through. You have to do what's called permission to play, which means like having decency, honesty, following through, and not being a jerk and not being just icky. Yeah. That's permission to play, because those are the things that are going to be important for you to succeed in this industry. And the photography industry is small, y'all. It is small.
Well, and they're not hiring your work. They're hiring you, and they hire you. They're going to be hanging out with you all day. And if they don't like you, they don't want to be with you, and they'd rather hire somebody whose work they don't like as much to be with somebody that's enjoyable, because it's their job too.
Yes, and you're going to be working a 10-hour day, right? So most photography, commercial photography shoots, it's a 10-hour day, and sometimes it's
Hmm.
12 hours, right?
Hmm.
Depending on which side of the fence you fall onto. It means that during prep to or pre-light, wardrobe changes, talking with the client, it means that you have to be able to communicate your
Yeah.
ideas, your thoughts, and you have to talk to people. And if you are a jerk, it makes it really difficult, because you will be overseeing a team of like 40 people,
Yeah.
20 people. The smallest team I've ever had was, I mean, we must have been a team of 12. You
Wow.
all have to get along with it.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
where, learning what you're doing and actually doing the work, networking, and being a decent person really matters.
Yeah. Love that. And I have to say, I mean, back to what you said earlier, weddings is a great place to learn a lot of those skills early on. So if you're not sure where to start, maybe jump in there. Man, that's just, I love all this advice. It's so helpful, Martine. Thank you so much. If people want to see more of your work, you are on VSCO at Martine Severin, just visco.co/Martine Severin. I got it on the screen here. And then I believe like your website, all your other profiles, people can find you there. Sounds like LinkedIn could be a place to get a hold of you if they have more questions. But this has been so helpful, Martine. Thank you. Really appreciate your time. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you so much.